Hello and welcome to the Rainy Street podcast with Pank and Heggy. Tonight we're going to be discussing the episode Sleight of Hank, which first aired on February 16th, 1999 and is season 3, episode 15. And now here's Pank with the summary.
So the summary for this episode is that there's a big celebration at a magic place. And Hank sees a magic trick that he just can't figure out, but that Peggy is in on. And Peggy won't tell him how it's done, so he spends the majority of the episode figuring out how it's done and arguing with Peggy about how the trick is done. That's pretty much the summary for this one. So if you guys want to meet us in the alley, we'll crack an Alamo and shoot shit.
So this is a rich episode. We did a lot of research for it. We're in for a real treat, just like I feel like the Hills are in for a treat in going to this magic place.
We did a bit of homework and we dug up some very interesting information.
Yeah, so we'll try to unravel it in sequence with, as the episode progresses and as we discuss it, but we apologize if we get ahead of ourselves at all.
If we blurt out anything exciting because it's about magic and there's apparently magicians are very, very interesting.
Yeah. So the episode starts and it's just a very wholesome scene. It looks like it's just Peggy and Bobby's voices as they're looking at what we think are clouds outside, because in animation you really can't tell. And, Bobby's describing the clouds to Peggy and he's like, oh, this one looks like this and this one looks like that. And Peggy's like, there is no wrong answer when it's your imagination or something. And then Bobby's like, oh, that one looks like, or he's like, look, Mom, a bee. She's like, well, I guess it looks like a bee, like immediately contradicting herself. And then you see a bee fly into frame and Peggy whacks it with a shoe and you find out that it's actually just clouds painted on the bedroom wall. And Bobby's like, oh, we even fooled the bee, which is really adorable. And this, just gets Hank in a fluster. So at first, Bobby comes running out wearing his overalls. And is like, I'm painting my room, and he's proud.
And Hank's like, oh, yeah, great. Now you've got a reason to wear those overalls without being embarrassed. And he's happy. The boy's painting. That's the boy's being right.
That's right. That is Hank's version of being right. And then he goes into the room, and Peggy's like, I'll get the fun saver. We'll take a picture to capture this. And he sees the clouds, and at first he's like, well, I don't know, do we really want to capture this? Like, it's the boy's first time painting, and it's all blotchy.
He thinks the clouds are blotches where he forgot to paint the room blue.
And they get into a little dispute over the boy having clouds, and... I
believe Hank says, well, if he wants to look at clouds, he can look out the window. And Peggy's like, the only thing you're going to see, or she says, you can't see clouds at night. And also, the only thing you can see when you look out the window at night is Mr. Dotree dancing with a mop.
Which is just, Bill.
Which is like, all right, maybe the boy is better off with looking at clouds than that, So, score one for Peggy, I would say, in that realm. As
you know, and as you listeners will grow to learn, I am a Peggy advocate 100% through and through. So I'm like, she's scoring for Peggy. What else is new?
So... Anyway, Hank's had enough. He's headed out to the alley to shoot the shit, crack an Alamo.
Walks in saying, yup, because he's so flustered.
He's just pre-yupping. He doesn't even know what he's yupping.
And Dale calls him on it and is like, you don't even know what you're agreeing to. Turns out, it's a birthday party for Nancy.
Not just a birthday party, more of a birthday event, because... I mean, they're going to, what is it called again?
Abracapasta, which I don't know if that just... Saying that makes me salivate. Like, I'm hungry right now. So.
Magic and pasta? I'm like, I used to not even like magic. I think I still don't, but I'm like, magic and pasta?
Right?
You've already got me with the pasta, now this is like...
Entertainment while I'm eating? Dazzle me?
Yeah. The potential to be entertained and satiated all in one.
Exactly.
And satiated on my favorite food.
Right? I mean, I can't even have gluten, and I'm like, pasta. Always pasta. So, it's pretty funny, too, because Dale, in planning this, I think he actually gets like a discount because he's offering some of Dale's dead bug pest services, which is like, do you really want to go to a place?
They're paying him in pasta and magic shows.
And it's like, do you want to go to a place where they have pests and it's a food establishment that you're knowing of, but...
and where they can't even afford to pay you to remove the pests properly. They're like, free pasta and magic work for you, you know?
And it's like... But, I mean, he's an opportune kind of guy, and he's like, well, Nancy's birthday's coming up, so he gives John Redcorn the task of occupying her for the whole day.
Which, if you're not a King of the Hill fan and you're just getting into the show 20 years after the fact, John Redcorn is having an affair with his wife. Yeah. So he's now entrusting the man having an affair with his wife to distract her for the day while he sets up this birthday celebration.
And it's like an ongoing theme in the show, but, like, everyone in the alley knows. So even in this scene where he's like telling his friends his like entrusted plan, he's like, yeah, I got John Redcorn taking care of her. They're kind of like kicking at the door. They're uncomfortable. They're like,
it's a theory in the King of the Hill universe, and that makes me wonder, what is your official stance on it? Does Dale know? In your opinion, from what you've seen every episode, what, 2-3 times each?
I don't. I'm like, because as an aside theory, there's also the theory that Peggy and Bill, like that Bill is Bobby's real father.
Yeah.
It's like something that
lots of theories.
Yeah, and we read about it, and the logic behind it is that they were looking for offshoots in case like the storyline ever died of things that they could
throw some gasoline that they could throw on the fire.
Exactly, and so that's something that we think about a lot. And when we were researching, like, if that was the thing, like, is Bill really Bobby's dad? We found out that the whole point of the Dale and Redcorn and Nancy affair was to just be like, look, it's happening in front of you guys as viewers, and you're not aware of it. You know what I mean? With Bill being Bobby's potential father. So the chances are that Dale's not aware of it. And I like to believe in the goodness of that. Like, I don't think that he would be okay with it. There's enough tells that he doesn't know that I don't think he knows. What about you?
I don't know. I think he's got to know. But he's just like, he's already crazy to begin with. So he may have just continually suppress it or something. Because it's so in your face. It's unbelievable. Like, he's caught him sneaking into Nancy's room and thought it was about his, thought Redcorn was trying to mess with his mower when really he was just stepping on the mower to get into Nancy's room, and just Nancy and Redcorn doing it while they're making that video for the Dallas Cowboys to make their training camp.
But that's the thing, is they always have the headaches and he's a healer, right? So it's like there is a story, and it's like, it's just sweet that he's so trusting. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's unfortunate, and Nancy eventually like realizes what she's doing is wrong and stops.
My after being a fan for so many years, I think he knows. That's mine. So you don't think he knows?
Viewers,
I think I know.
If you have an opinion and you want to comment and let us know, we would love to hear your take on it.
Does Dale know? That's
weigh in on the Bill, Peggy, and Bobby trio. There is Bill really Bobby's dad?
So those are our comment questions for you.
Yeah. If you feel like you want to interject and let us know. So basically, it just jumps right into them arriving at
we're off to Abracapasta to watch the Great Herrera.
And as like a viewer, I'm like, what did you guys eat though? Like, how is the food? But we don't ever really get to find out.
No,
it is all about
we don't
magic.
Get to the pasta, unfortunately.
When did we get to the pasta factory?
That will probably be our yeah, that's so true. But yeah, we don't get to the pasta, which will probably be the one criticism I have for this episode at the end of it. Recap. The Amazing Herrera was great. The magic, the promise of pasta was great, but they didn't deliver on the pasta.
No, we wanted to know. So we see Nancy and Redcorn walking in, and she's got her hand in his pocket, and she's talking about what a wonderful day it is. And I love the animation of the building. So they have like a secret library or like secret bookshelf that opens up to get you in. So it's like magic is everywhere. And I don't know if any listeners in the States know about this, but we have a Chuck E. Cheese in Canada, which is like a kid's arcade that has like, it's got a rat sponsor. That's the mascot, is a rat.
The mascot is a rat that serves you pizza.
Yeah, and I just like, I love shit like that. So I'm like, if there was an Abracapasta in our town, I would be all over that. I'd be like, you have to go through a bookcase to get in it. Like, what wizardry and magic?
Does the bookcase thing cost extra?
Yeah, like the this is just included. I could technically just use the washroom and I get to walk through this bookcase.
Good deal.
So Redcorn kind of gives Nancy a heads up and he's like, you should probably take your hand in my pocket right about now as they're walking in. And she's still not wise to the fact that it's a surprise birthday. And all of a sudden she jumps back and is like, oh, there's Dale.
Because she spots him out hiding behind something very obviously.
I would say
which is so funny.
I would use that as like, the description of that would be lurking. Mm-hmm. He's behind a plant.
Yeah.
And then everyone jumps out and they're surprised. So this is when we meet, what is the magician's name?
The Amazing Herrera.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's all man. You know what I mean? Like, he's just the most amazing magician you've never heard of.
Which is unfortunate because I think you wrote down Hank's line about his distaste and how he doesn't want to see people. What was it? Something about.
Oh yeah, Hank. Yeah, Hank's not having a good time. He hates magicians apparently, but he's been dragged along to this, and he goes, I just don't like magicians. You know, they're silky men in silky shirts.
Which is such a Hank reason for hating something. But in our eyes, like, I'm assuming that if you like King of the Hill, you probably like a little show called Arrested Development. And there's quite a bit of crossover, in my opinion. So when The Amazing Herrera comes out, he's got a very Job-esque stage presentation where there's like 4 girls going in and out. He's like hypnotizing one of them on the stage. He releases doves. But where did the lighter fluid come from?
Yeah, the only thing missing is the final countdown.
Yes, absolutely. So this show, we're dazzled. Everyone in the audience is dazzled. Hank is giving away the tricks. Like, worst magician guest ever. So finally it comes to the big crescendo. We've got our climax coming up here, and he needs a lovely assistant from the audience. And who does he pick? One Miss Peggy Hill. So he brings her up. There's a giant piñata on the stage and asks her to get in. And the trick is that she gets raised into the air. He lights it on fire. It explodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, do you have anything to add?
No, and I was just going to say, I love that when Peggy's picked and she comes up to the stage, she immediately just starts speaking Spanish to him because The Amazing Herrera is a Spanish-speaking person. And he's like, oh, you speak Spanish in a way.
Which is like it's weird because like there are times when people think she speaks great Spanish, like when she's working at Alamo, right?
Well, she got the job.
Right?
So
and
they may not have thought she spoke great Spanish, but she got the job.
And like Mr. Senor, what's the priest's name?
Oh, that's
right?
true.
Like
Senor Montalvo.
Yeah, like she gets a job in Mexico.
That's
teaching
true.
his children. Like
Yeah.
she gets.
Maybe she does speak
And
really
that's
good
where it's
Spanish
like, because
once in a
then there's
while.
also cases that support that she's a horrible Spanish speaker. Again, I always reference this, but when she kidnaps the child in Mexico.
Lupe, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just like, is she good at Spanish?
Yeah, what's her deal? Yeah,
Yeah.
because she tricked a Spanish speaker into teaching, although I think she was teaching them English or history.
Well, she was
American
teaching them,
history
yeah,
or
because
something.
like they were going for their green card, and so she was teaching them, but still, like it was.
That's true, but they were also speaking in English the whole time.
That's true.
So maybe.
So I think.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't speak
Yeah,
Spanish. that
more of it.
Maybe
points to her being.
maybe our theory.
But
is
she's
correct.
also the 2-time substitute teacher of the year award for her Spanish
3 times, I
teaching.
believe, but one of those should have went to Hank.
Yes,
she
yeah.
accepted on his behalf.
Yeah, classic pigs. But so we see the trick go down. It culminates with the explosion of the piñata, and I love this scene because Hank is pissed. He comes up on the stage and he's like, you bring my wife back or I'm getting the manager. Like, I would be like, if I believed in this, I'd be like, I'm getting the police. Like, you just exploded my wife and made her disappear.
You're under citizen's arrest.
Right? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, and Peggy reappears just drinking her Corona at the table. She calls out to him, and Hank is mystified. Like, this magician has just baffled him.
And more annoyed than mystified.
Oh, yeah.
He's, you know what I mean? He doesn't understand it, and that bothers him more than anything.
And that's the thing about Hank, is he's a very, like, logic-based person. That's kind of the whole point of this episode.
Yes.
That's why the whole clouds are interjected. He doesn't have an imagination.
And that's kind of the whole point of this whole series. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a commentary on how unlogical or illogical things are nowadays.
Yes.
The hypocrisy and the bureaucracy and the just general insanity of everything.
Yeah.
And how you can't just go down and get a handshake deal and get something done. You know what I mean? You can't get anything done in a day.
Exactly.
You gotta do three forms and 2 licenses.
Exactly. And so he's annoyed. He's not having this. It flashes to them in bed, and he's trying to get her to spill the beans on the trick, and she just won't do it, which he often challenges her boundaries, because again, with the Alamo episode, he like makes her give away the secrets, but in this case she keeps her lips buttoned. She's like, I promised the amazing Herrera I would not tell you this, with good cause, because as you'll learn later in the episode, these tricks can be kind of pricey. Sorry, illusions for Arrested Development.
Yeah, that's true. Magic's no joke. So apparently some of these tricks can cost up to $50,000.
Yeah, and as we'll go into more, like, but they're only licensed to a few people, so it's like,
yeah. So you're really committed. It's like buying a brand new car, basically, that you rent out to people.
Mm-hmm. And the only way you're making that back is if people are mystified, so you can't have everybody knowing the secret to the trick.
Mm-hmm.
The B story at this point is, so we see Peggy is telling Bobby about the night, not giving away any secrets.
Yeah.
And she's dazzling him. She's just like, and then at the end it explodes and candy comes out, and he's like just entranced. He's like, what kind of candy? And she's like, Jolly Ranchers. Oh my god.
Yeah, he can't take it.
No.
He can't wait to go to Abracapasta.
Oh yeah.
His reaction to Abracapasta and hearing all about it was similar to our reaction just hearing the word Abracapasta.
Exactly.
We're like, oh my god.
Head thrown back, just like pure delight. And so this further annoys Hank, because he doesn't want anybody to be enjoying the tricks of the amazing Herrera. And especially because like the amazing Herrera was a little smarmy to him. Like even when he lights the piñata, like Hank's not having it. He doesn't want Peggy in it, and he's like, "Well, I'll get one more chance to hit on your wife." Like he's hit below the belt by Hank's standards here. And so Hank's like, "Don't you have school?" And Bobby's like, "It's Sunday." And he's like, "Don't you have Sunday school?" So we get a gulp from Bobby, and then it flashes to them in church, and they have to write a report for the following Sunday, and they have to pick a biblical character, and of course Bobby picks the amazing Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't know it's the amazing Jesus quite yet, but he picks Jesus and turns it into that, which is what most people compare Jesus to who don't follow him. You know? A magician who tricked a bunch of people who were, kind of dumb 2,000 years ago. But Hank's really just irritated in general by this whole magic thing, and he's got like a mock-up disappearing trick. He's recreated the trick in his garage, and he's got all the alley boys in the garage trying to figure this trick out, and he just can't do it. He asked the boys what he thinks
what their theories are.
What I mean, what their theories are, and I believe Bill's is that Peggy has a twin out there somewhere, and do you think that twin would be interested in him? And so and so. Do you remember what any of the other theories are?
So he asks, and Dale's like, theories? I got theories. And he's like, about the trick. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I have no theories. So and then I think Boomhauer talks about how he was too busy hitting on like the cocktail waitress, and then he just left with her.
Trails off with his typical Boomhauer talk. And
he talks about how there was some pretty kinky shit going on, though, in that bedroom. And I was like, for a first-time hookup, like, that's risque.
Yeah.
Like...
Magicians, though, right? That whole magic culture, they're probably a little more advanced sexually than folk like us.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow. You mean on top and on bottom? For any Simpsons fans, which you'll often hear us quote. So then we can see that like a pretty severe argument is starting to bloom between Hank and Peggy. Peggy's kind of venting about it a bit to Bobby and Luann. And then we have Hank walk in and just like very ominously ask Luann if she's ready to go. Which like Hank and Luann never hang out. So
Yeah.
what are they doing?
Yeah.
And
where did the lighter fluid come from?
Exactly, right? And so Peggy's like, where are you guys going? And of course Luann spills the beans and she's like, we're going to Abrica Pasta.
See the amazing Herrera.
She's so jazzed, and Bobby naturally wants to go. I can't imagine a situation.
How could you not?
Right? Like,
I don't care if someone was like going through one of the hardest times of their life. If someone invited me to Abrica Pasta for the first time,
rain
be
check.
like, why don't you come with us? Come on, just come with us.
This
It'll
can
make
only
you feel,
make the situation
it'll
better.
make you feel better. Come on.
So Peggy's like, do you want to go and have your father ruin every trick kind of thing? And Bobby just kind of looks at her, looks back at his dad, and he's like, of course I'm going to Abrica Pasta.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a 12 to 13-year-old boy. Of course I'm going. So it comes down to the final scene, and he has Luann there as bait. Like, he could have just gone with Bobby, but he needs a beautiful woman's from the crowd.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that.
There's a pretty clever scene where she stands up when he's asking for it, and he's like, yes, you please. And she's so dumb that she doesn't realize he's talking to her. And
Yes,
it's just
in the back, please.
So she goes up, and the amazing Herrera obviously has outsmarted Hank again, because he gets in the piñata and has Luann light it on fire. And
which is a different take on the trick and makes it impossible for Hank to figure out, and he just sits down in dismayment, only to look over his shoulder and see that the amazing Herrera is sitting beside him and asking him, so did you figure out how to do my trick? And he's just baffled. Like, he's at this point, he's in the garage, he's wearing a 3-day-old shirt with sweat stains and stubble
like
growing,
visible yellow sweat stains,
stubble growing out of him. He's got the mock-up piñata crate that he's assembled and that he had hanging from the roof, sitting there, in the middle of the garage as he's stressing over it and trying to figure it out. And Peggy comes in to check on him. And this is one of the points that we really wanted to touch on, because it's one of the more insane moves.
Yes.
From Hank Hill, and insane relationship type things that you really wanted to touch on. So I'll let you take that from here.
So basically, she sees how distressed he is, and he's like, I just can't figure it out. Like, it would help me if you got into the crate. Like, I need to set the scene more accurately. And I'm going to try to figure it out. So she complies, like, in her house robe with a cup of coffee. She gets into the crate, and he drills her into the box. And she's like, okay, what now, Hank? Like, thinking he might hoist her up or whatever. And he's like, well, now I'm locking you in there, essentially, until you tell me the trick. And, like, this upsets me on such a level. I am so claustrophobic. This would be a nightmare that I'm like, I would press, like, criminal charges.
Yeah, divorce, criminal charges,
I don't
restraining order.
I don't have a ton of boundaries.
Complete independent custody over Bob.
Absolutely. I'd be like, I don't
Butch
trust you with
Hill.
anything. I'm coming after your job at
I'm
this
taking
point.
your dog, too.
Yeah, Ladybird, Ladybird cannot be in your hands.
And,
So.
like, based on every country music song I've ever heard, you know what I mean? Taking a man's dog in his truck. Because you'd take that, too.
Oh, obviously.
Worst thing that could ever happen to a guy like Hank Hill.
That's right. And I rightfully so, because I think getting drilled into a crate for an indefinite period of time.
Forcibly confined.
Exactly. Absolutely worthy of all of those ramifications. So those are my boundaries. What is your take on this situation?
I think that's pretty fair. I would be a little more relaxed on it. You know?
You'd be like, take me to Abrica Pasta tonight and we're good.
That would be one of the stipulations, yes. But for me, if I was trapped in there for a minute or less, and after a stern amount of arguing they let me out, I could get over it. You know what I mean?
Not me.
But and that's what happens. You know what I mean? Hank buckles immediately.
Absolutely, as he should.
He realized the wrong that he did. So I feel like if my partner did that to me, but then reacted like Hank did, I'd be like, all right, you get a pass, but you owe me 2. Not only do you owe me 1, you owe me 2 big ones.
All right.
You know, that would be that sort of deal. Where even then I'd still lord it over them.
Oh yeah, you'd have to. Parceling it out over the next few days and weeks, jabbing when you seem the most content.
Exactly.
I would also like to say that I'm kind of playing both sides on this topic because I also get very impassioned and frustrated when I don't know the answer to something that I may go to those lengths.
So
I can
see
appreciate
why.
it from Hank's standpoint, but at the same time, my claustrophobia is like rampant, and I'm like, I can barely breathe just watching this scene. So, yeah.
Pretty fucking like
Extreme.
Plan Z type measures there from Hank. Like,
I think this is why we see how escalating this argument is for them. Like, this is how desperate this man is.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably a good place to end it for part 1. So we're going to take a small break. We're going to crack another Alamo. And I think part 2 should probably just be ready for you in the queue on YouTube.